What's up? What's up? What's up? This is a Friday. You know what time it is. It is time for Ask Christian Anarchist. This time, what number are we at? We're at number 63. Alrighty then. With that being said, we have been going for way too long with these hangouts. My goodness, this is the 63rd time we've been at this. Can I get a job? Can I get a life? I mean, seriously. But no, in all seriousness, thank you, all you wonderful people that are watching. And if you're probably wondering what's going on with the icons, like, hey, what is that looking thing? Why does it have a heart for an eye? And why is it making the peace sign? One, because apparently I guess I like all you guys. And two, I got a new profile picture change done because of an artist named Prince Lowell on Twitter and whatever social media this fella uses. I forgot what country he's from, but he's a good guy. Paid $15 for this particular thing here and eventually got it. And this will now be the face you see on the Hangouts now, which means you get to have this guy giving you a nice little smile to hopefully cheer you up and motivate you throughout your days. So hopefully you ain't too creeped out by this thing. Anyways, before we begin with the show, y'all are just tuning in after me ranting on rambling a bit. Let me introduce to you how the show works. Ask Christian Anarchist obviously means you get to ask me something. So how does the asking work? Well, you go to the YouTube live chat if you're watching this and you just, watching on YouTube. You can't join. You can't do none of that. All you can do is watch the stupid show. How do you answer a question and submit it? Well, you use that live chat you see there, type in your question, put it in, and then bada bam, your question is sent. And I can read it and I can answer it. Then the next thing we have is if you have this thing that goes on the internet, I think it's called a Twitter, I don't know, Twitter. Yeah, just go there, mention me, and do a hashtag AskCA, and I will try to get to your questions. Then we have, of course, if you want to join, you can ask the link via Discord, Hangouts, or in this case, you can especially do it via Skype. That's the Skype username right there. Just click on that and type that in, and you should be able to join in. No problem. No easy peasy lemon squeezy. All right. Now, the next thing we got is asking on the Discord server. Yes, I know. We decided to have no lives whatsoever, that we decided, okay, let's do this. Let's make a Discord server. So you can go there. There's a section. You can go there. It says show questions only. You can put your questions there. We got 4 questions in there right now. We got answered 2 from there, and then we're going to answer 1 Twitter one before we get to some of these wonderful looking people that are in the chat and the live stream right now. So we got what's his name? We got a Joseph in this his house.
Hi.
Yeah, he said hi. In case some of you didn't hear that awesomeness right there, we got Bobby Bob. That's the full name. Who is a truck driver. So give him respect, or he'll run you over like Maximum Overdrive. Say hi to everybody, Bob.
Good evening, folks.
Exactly. There you go. Good evening indeed, folks, especially since it's nighttime, unless you're watching from somewhere where it is morning time. In that case, you need to get a job because you are wasting your time watching me. Now then, let's get to the show. Since I have just been rambling and trying to get myself full of energy. Hopefully I can not yawn. Oh, well, too late. I just spoke too soon. All right. So let's go ahead and check out a couple of Discord questions. Right now, we got the Christian man. The Christian man asks, what is one of the great heresies in the church today? Good question. And while I'm trying to figure that out, I'm putting a wheel on my table thing because it keeps falling out. What is one of the greatest heresies that's in the church today? Would be, in my opinion, especially within the Southern Bible Belt area where supposedly Christianity is supposed to be populating like crazy, is the more modern American gospel kind of mentality. Besides, it's a mix of prosperity gospel, like with Joel Osteen and such, but also you have a lot of things such as putting patriotism into the Christian faith. Like supposedly something big is in plan for America, or that what Jesus has in mind is what America has in mind, or as recently as some people have said that apparently there's something divine going on about the issue of Donald Trump, that, you know, Donald Trump is America's ordained leader. And while it's true to an extent that he's been ordained, what they are referring to is that he has been put there to carry out something that we all need to follow as a standard, that he is the perfect role model Christian, even though he sins like everybody else does, as well as one time said that he felt the only way that he could receive salvation is to become president of the United States of America. Wow, such a nice role model. But of course, when it comes to American patriotism and the influence it has in the southern part of Christian viewers and the heresy they're going to inherit this, they're going to be willing to forsake many things that Jesus has taught, such as to love thy neighbor as oneself, or the idea that they also will then start being ecumenicalists. And then, of course, which again, think of that, that's the hypocrisy right there. And that anyone who just is a small disagreement on the essential issues, like if we're calling out someone who's supposed to preach a sermon, but instead is preaching a political agenda in this pulpit, and someone calls him out on that, whether it be the person has been, you know, saying we need to support Trump or this certain senator, then all of a sudden you're casted out as if you are a demon-possessed heretic. This, I think, is what is one of the biggest heresies in the church, because not only is it found in the South, but it seems to be growing in the world today. So, that is the answer to your question, Mr. Man of Christian. The Church of YouTube asks, is that a picture of a girl on the screen winking? No, that is a picture of a guy. That's a picture of me, or at least the anime persona that I am doing. So yes, that is me. I got some artists to do it. I explained this earlier when I started the show off. So anyways, one more question. Joe-san Chama Kan Desu. Not watching the stream right now, but what do you think of Joseph Carr's voice acting ability and why he is so handsome? Okay, first of all, I know this is you, Joseph Carr. What do I think of your voice acting capability? I think you have nice pitch and tone. Why are you so handsome? Why are you lying? I don't know about you being handsome. As far as I'm concerned, you might be the ugliest person I've ever laid eyes on, even uglier than myself, and that is speaking volumes about it. All right, so thank you for that weird question there, Mr. Joseph. Well, yeah, we got Joseph Carr, not the Joseph that's in here, which, speaking of which, let's go to other Joseph. Joseph, how are you doing, my man?
I'm doing pretty good, just like been doing some personal projects, mostly writing unrelated to like religion or theology, but like just like doing that stuff. But yeah.
All right. Well, glad to hear about that, man. I hope you do well within any further future projects.
Yeah, like poetry, so.
Well, poetry's good to do. Yeah. I do technically some form of poetry, but it's just extremely white boy rapping.
Yeah.
But what is your question?
Yeah, I saw that video. I mean that song. That's pretty good.
Yeah, trust me, I got a Christian horrorcore song coming at some point, so we'll see how that turns out. But anyways, what's your question?
Me?
C.
My question would be like, well, I just had some random thoughts, like, but not really like a concise question, but like, what do you think about like Christian music? Like, for example, the band 10th Avenue North. Have you listened to them? Do you like them?
Yeah, I've heard them. I forget what the song was, because I remember I went to an old non-denominational church, but they were leaning towards Southern Baptist theology. And a friend of mine had showed me the song, this band, and I'm trying to remember which one it was that he had showed me. Because I remember we had to learn the guitar and the bass to it and play it. So I think the music I've heard from them is pretty decent, pretty good.
Yeah.
Don't know too much about 10th Avenue North though, but I liked some of the stuff that they did, and the lyrics itself are very, faith based. So I like some of the stuff that's mentioned there.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like Christian music in general that I've heard depends on what you get, because some bands today are, they're just cheesy. Like all they say is simply that Jesus is the way, or God is awesome, and they just keep saying that. But like literally, like I've been to a church where literally that's been the lyric for like 5 minutes straight. I'm like, okay, when's the verse? And that's what I think is interesting, is that the music has to portray not just simply the one thing that we know that's a fact, but the message then needs to be something that's actually there. Like Amazing Grace has multiple words, and it's portraying a very nice message concerning the grace of God towards wretched sinners. But then you also have other songs like Say Today that go more in depth than what you had of people during the 18 to 1900s when they were composing hymns. They're dealing, especially if they're like these Christian rock bands or these Christian rap artists, they're going with a lot of stuff that people need detail into. Sometimes the music produced by these are just more positive mental stuff and not specifically Christian based, but the ones that do Christian based, like War of Ages, For Today, even though they disbanded, Shai Lin, these guys set out a foundation in which they're making sure that Christ is the center of the music, and that the gospel and all that is the center message of the song.
Yeah, I've never heard of any of those bands you just listed.
Well, go check them out.
I guess, yeah.
All right. Anyways, that's my thoughts on that. So thank you for that. What the heck is this?
What?
Hang on, I'm trying to make sure that this is right. No, this is the troll. I almost thought we had Steven Anderson that was actually watching this, because there's someone out there that says Sanderson 1611.
That could be bad if it was him, but I doubt it would be him.
Yeah, because he was saying he's saying Lifecore, more like Lifecore. Okay, now he's starting the insults. So yeah, we're just gonna remove this guy, or Remy beats me to the punch. So yeah.
Well, that looks like his actual channel. I mean,
yeah, but I took a look at it on the Google channel thing, and it showed no videos were up. Yeah. So yeah, I just had to get rid of that guy. Anyways, so thank you for your question there, man. Yeah. All right, so let's see here. All right, so before we get to the live chat or any more of the Discord questions, Bob, I know you did ask a Discord question. Do you want to make that your question, or do you want to ask something else?
No, that's the one. Yeah.
Okay.
I posted a PDF on it from something I found.
Yeah, I saw the thing. It was so the guy that apparently this guy's not a scholar. He's just simply a lay apologist, or maybe a pastor. I don't know too much. I tried looking him up. Only thing it says is he's part of some group called Church Society, and that's really all that it gives us information on. So the question.
Yeah, I was driving down the road. I only had a couple minutes to look up a reference, and that's the one I found. So.
Right. So what do I believe Paul believes about creation? I think he believed the same thing that I believe that was done by the others that are involved. So I think concerning like with how Moses, how Peter, how these others would have viewed it. I think he would affirm that concerning the issue about creation, it would have been something at least of an old or an evolutionary creation. That's only based on what I've seen and observed, based off of the reading of Scripture, as well as plus based on the fact that he doesn't seem to differ in the theology that which goes with what Genesis chapters 1 and 2 say. For example, I mean, if you check out just Genesis 1 itself and start with chapter 1 in verses 11 and 12, and I'm about to pull up the verses on my word software real quick so that way y'all can see this with me.
Yeah, the kind of the point, the reason the question is if you thought he believed in like an old Earth or young Earth creation, and if he, you know, from what you understand from reading him, because I haven't read it in a while, if you believed it was, if Paul believed it was like a literal interpretation, or if he took an allegorical interpretation, and then and because, you know, he was basically getting his information from God, so I mean, you know, where, you know, how then that would kind of lead credence to one
well, not necessarily, because
interpretation or other.
Not necessarily would they get these infos from God. God would reveal certain truths and such, but also works with the knowledge that they have about other things, such as what we see in the language about the flat Earth language of the Bible. I mean, we go over and look here earlier. We read in these verses the firmament that's being made in the midst of the waters. This is the dome of the flat Earth that exists over the waters, and that it has a division of waters, meaning the three-tiered layered system within the firmament. And then you have Isaiah 40:22, which mentions again the circle of the earth, not the sphere of the earth. So God uses their ancient pre-scientific notions to bring about the still divine revelation of the fact of a God. And that's what the main purpose of the Bible is in regards to the theological messaging. But there's still things that they are using that are only relevant in their knowledge and understanding. But I think that still concerning all of that, there is still something that can be read within the Scripture that at the same time, maybe at that time, they had some understanding of not full-on scientific or what would be in full-on line with what we see in evolutionary biology today, but that we see, for example, verse 11, God said, "Let the earth bring forth the grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit, after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth." It was so. And the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after his kind. So we still recognize that God has created things, that God has brought forth a creation, that God is the creator of all things, especially the plants and the herbs, but recognizes that he does so through the earth, letting the earth bring forth these things, even though it's by his divine command. That's why you see God said, "And let the earth bring forth these things." So the earth couldn't even bring forth any of these herbs, or as we see in verse 20, the creatures from the waters, or as we see in verse 24, the creatures from the earth, if it wasn't for God given the direct divine command. The only time that in the Bible, though, that we don't see this, and this is where it definitely differs from Darwinian evolution, is the issue about verse 26, where it says, God said, so we have the same direct divine command, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth." So God created man in his image. In the image of God created he him. And of course, as we see in chapter 2, the specific way he brings him about is not in a sort of evolutionary process, but rather it's simply through that he comes from the dust of the earth, that he's made from specifically the dust. So that's the thing there. I think that based on that, maybe Paul could have that same kind of theology in mind, But it's also, interesting to point out, like, even then regarding the days, because some of the early church fathers who were traveling with the apostles themselves, they didn't agree on the consensus of things such as, for example, what the days were. Some thought it just meant 1,000 years because of what Peter had written down. Some, like Augustine, just thought the days weren't ever meant to be like actual days. They were just to be laying out certain arrangements of things. But that God created the whole earth and everything in it in a split instant second. And then there's other views that are and such. So, I mean, I don't know exactly what Paul's theology could be, but based on what I've read and understood of Paul, I think that would be as more in line with an at least old earth model.
Okay, yeah, because that's what I was kind of getting to. I mean, because like I've heard from a couple, just listen to other stuff while I'm driving, that a couple of people thought Paul thought it was like a young earth creation, and then so I was gonna like see where you stood on that, because I know everyone's got a different interpretation of what's in there, and so just trying to figure out which would be, what the original intention of the author was, right?
Right.
So if he would have thought it was a young earth creation, then I was going to say, like, well, then how would you kind of reconcile that he had a misunderstanding of it, or
right.
he had a misunderstanding of it. But if you think he was thinking old earth, then yeah, that's cool. We'll go with that too.
Well, I mean, either way, like I said, there's not really much info provided to fully lay a foundation for either position. We just know that he believed that there was an Adam and Eve, that there was a creation that went on, and that there was a problem in the Garden of Eden. So that's what we mostly see. All right, so thank you for your question there, man.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, so let's see. Wolves Are Cool on Discord asks, what does the book of Revelation represent to you personally? Okay, I mean, to me, the book of Revelation just represents to me the final revelation of the scriptures that has been given to the Apostle John. And a lot of it is a good warnings from Jesus that he's relaying about the future prophecy, and especially concerning the end times. We get a lot of that there. So I think the book of Revelation represents to me personally one of the most challenging yet most important books of the Bible to learn about, since it talks about the future events that are to come, as well as the fact that some of the stuff that's in there, it can be difficult to understand. That's why we have so many different views of eschatologies that exist out there. And I think what we should focus on is just simply the fact that there is going to be an end times, and that because of the warnings we see in the Bible, that should at least influence us to go out and share the gospel with people so that we can prepare for those times when it comes. So, anyways. So thank you for your question, Wolves. All right, let's get to some of the questions in the live chat. So if you have a question, you might want to just send it again, because I can't get to every single thing that's in here. Okay, let's see. The Fluffy Pog, otherwise known as Alexia the Rook, asks, so question for you all. Do you think that Christian movies are a waste or actually are good? And do you think they're good to help spread the gospel? Okay, let me just answer this one. It depends on the movie, because I know some that are just absolutely ridiculous and crazy. I've actually even seen a few of them that are just bad acting, and that the lines are just drawn out there to be very cheesy, like one about persecution where a guy's just told to, reveal where these group of Christians are and that he needed to denounce Christianity. And the way they portrayed him is like these liberal fascists, to the point that literally it got to the point they tied him up, and as you say, saying thank God for this, and the guy gets frustrated. He just takes him down and starts beating him up and punching him. He's like, "You bigoted, homophobic, racist, intolerant." And like just comes up with a bunch of names as he can and says that that's what Christianity teaches, is to be hateful and murder people. And like it was way too out there that it was hard for even me to really get anything out of it. But there are some good ones that are out there. I like the first God's Not Dead. I haven't seen the second one. There's several other ones that are good that'll be out there. I know the one that a lot of people are going to be enjoying is the I Can Only Imagine song movie. That's basically a movie about how that song came into composition. So there's all kinds of movies that are good, and they can be used to spread the gospel and get the message of God out there. But it has to have the right elements of the gospel in it, and not just simply, okay, we're doing this for entertainment purposes.
Yeah, I've been watching the Bible Reloaded. They do some Christian movie reviews, and there was one with Chuck Norris in it. But I mean, they picked the find, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, and like you said, there's just like real bad acting, real bad scripts, and you know, and it just cuts. They don't flow from scene to scene. It's just a lot of cutting. I maybe because you know they're trying to get the message out and they have a low budget. I can understand that. So there's not going to be a lot of people that want to back movies like those. So I can understand why you know it's the product. The product is a lower quality.
Yeah. Anyways, thanks you for your question there, Porg. Oh, Fluffy Porg says, I heard I Can Only Imagine is good. I'm going to try to go to it tomorrow if I can. Well, let me know how it is. I mean, I was curious about it and wanted to check on it. Let me also see here. Where's the link? I'm going to see if I can get a Veckel in here, because I see he apparently is in the chat. There we go. All right. Let's see. What else do we got here? For those of you who are tuning in and see that we got a S. Anderson 1611 that's on here. Again, I only see that's not the actual Anderson. I've checked the thing. It has 0 subscribers, no videos uploaded. It's not the actual Steven Anderson. It's just someone making a you know, fake account. You can check for yourselves. You can click on the thing, say go to channel, and you know it doesn't show that it's actual Steven Anderson. Because I can go to the channel right now of his and see that there's like 1,271 videos and 83,000 subscribers. So unless something's going on. Anyways, that being said. All right, what's next? Lying sodomite, that is the real Steven Anderson. How come when I click on that, there's literally no content, but I'm looking at another one that actually has content? You know, it's not the first time people have tried doing this with other channels to make people say things. I mean, people have been doing that with somebody did that with Veckel once, and people fell for it. So, I don't know. I don't know if we should boot him. I mean, if you want to prove yourself that you are real, Sanderson 1611, then you know we're gonna have to. I'll tell you what. So if you can make a video and you mention me by yeah, general. I'm not going to suggest that because I don't know if this may be a troll or not. Because like I said, we get many people.
Yeah, I was just gonna add in there. Sometimes trolls can be funny, right? If they're funny and they actually contribute, then
yeah, but I don't
see a
want
problem.
but I don't want the porn bomber ones. That's the ones you don't like, especially if they'll snipe and they start playing porn. And there have been people that have come under Christian names and will start doing all this kind of stuff.
They want a link?
He hasn't asked. He hasn't asked for a link. Someone is suggesting him to get a link though.
But yeah, if he's in a live chat and he's not saying anything vulgar, obscene, or anything, too controversial, just leave him in there. Sometimes trolls can be good and funny and bring up good conversation.
All right. Well, if someone can actually go to Anderson's actual confirmed pages and confirm that he's been in this chat and he's familiar with what's going on here, then I'll actually believe it. But I know there have been people that have come here under various different pseudonyms and nicknames, and I'm not going to just simply allow that nonsense on here. We've been sniped before, and people have been either saying racist slang or just been playing videos of porn in here, and that is bound to get a channel flagged or put down, and I'm not allowing that to happen. So, anyways.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, what's up, Christian Reactionary, and of course, Sister Hipster.
Okay, I got a question for you. What do you think?
Wait, Christian, hold on. We're going in order. We're going to have to go take an order here. Keep everything organized in a format. All right, so I'm gonna mute you for a second because we're getting a lot of background noise on your end. So Sister Hipster, you there? Okay, she may be AFK at the moment. So until then, just go ahead and oh, never mind. I guess she is there.
Hey. Aww, it is very cute. That guy did a good job.
Oh, don't thank me. Thank him, I guess. So, do you got a question, sister? It's been a while.
Yeah. I guess I kind of looked this up myself, but it'd probably be a good conversation piece anyway. How long did the plagues of Egypt last in the book of Exodus?
How long did the plagues last?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question. I've forgotten how long they were. Because it's been a while since I read. The first thing I started doing when I got saved was to try to start reading the Bible in order.
Mm-hmm.
And I started with the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of things that ended up throwing me off a bit because you have to, when most of the things you're reading are the just various either random laws or birth lineages, they sometimes take away from the definitely important stories about what you see in the Exodus itself, Abraham, the destruction upon the city of Sodom, and all those significant stories. Not to downplay what Scripture says, though. All right, so let's see here. When did I'm trying to see if I can find that verse that mentions how long the dates happen.
Then while you're looking, you could add another onto that. How many plagues were there before God hardened his heart, and how many were after?
All right. So there's, according to what I'm seeing on something, it says, there were 10 plagues. Let's see. So about 2 weeks. So I'm gonna have to take a look to see if this is actually adding up, because one of the people are saying that it takes about 2 weeks for each plague, and if we carry it, and it says they're carrying out with the other 6 or something, getting 12 weeks. So apparently it's saying that it had to have lasted for about 20 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as I'm aware of, the only thing it has said is that just the these plagues happened, but they didn't say specifically how long, at least as far as what I'm remembering.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and actually then goes on to, so Exodus 7 verse 25 talks about the issue about the first plague that was about the river. Lasted for 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ninth one, let's see here, that then Exodus chapter 10 verses 21 through 23, stretch out his hand toward the heaven, and there be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt, the thick darkness in all the land of Egypt for 3 days. So I guess depending on what the plague was, it lasted for a certain period of time.
Mm-hmm.
That went on. So I don't know. It depends on which one it is, but so far I'm going with what the source I'm getting this from, because I'm seeing the verses that are pointing out the 7 days, the 3 days, and then the other ones that you can add up the numbers to.
Mm-hmm.
So my best guess would be about 2 weeks.
Yeah. I've heard things like that. On average, from what I've read of sources, it was about either 4 to 5 months, and then there's some people that said it took about a year.
Mm-hmm.
That until they actually left Egypt.
Yeah. Well, was that your only question you got?
So far, yes.
All right. Well, thank you for asking your question. Again, Wyatt, I think you can, if you can, message me on Hangouts, Wyatt. See if you can. So you said you tried sending him a message on Facebook. See if you can confirm that this S. Anderson 1611 guy is actually him, because I don't know why he would make a different account that has exactly the same name.
You can always have him go over to your Discord and talk to him over there real quick, right? See if it's his voice.
Well, I don't even think that Anderson would know anything on a Discord, and if he did, then that would be something.
Yeah.
All right, so Christian Reactionary, how are
Pretty good. I'm just reading those comments. They're pretty funny. But it is a serious question here. What do you think of Zen Garcia? He's a theologian. He runs a online church. I'm not sure what it's called, Endeavor Freedom or something. And he teaches that. Well, you're gonna have to do some research on this guy yourself. But I just want to know what you think on this individual.
Well, you have this. It's just like you said that probably gonna have to do some research on this individual, because that's the first time I've ever heard of him.
Oh, I'll send you some of his teachings and just tell me what your reaction is. I mean, you're gonna.
I don't know anything about him until you tell me something about him.
Okay, well, it's like I want to tell you about him, but it's so hard to explain that and he's affiliated with this other self-described prophet, the Manifester Yada. This is what this guy calls himself. I mean, this is some bizarre false teaching. I'm pretty sure it's a false teaching. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this. This is like borderline. Okay if I post the links here?
If you want.
Okay.
I mean...
beware, I am babysitting, and so let me just mute myself real quick as I post the links.
But by the way, I don't know if Sister Hipster, can you see the inside chat?
Oh, what you mean? There's a way I can do it. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Do you see what Veckel said?
Aww.
Yeah, for those who can't see it, apparently Veckel's daughter is responding like crazy, liking Sister Hipster's voice.
Yes.
Who knows? Maybe Veckel may have to call you, tell a bedtime story to get her to go to sleep.
Yeah, it is after 9:30, and she's wide awake.
Oh, I know those days.
Yeah. but she likes Sister's voice. She keeps looking at the camera. She's looking at the screen right now, like who is saying that?
Aw.
Okay. Okay, so again, just tell me what this guy does, because apparently there's a lot of weird things I can already tell from the.
Okay. He's a serpent seed guy. I don't know if you know what that is.
No.
Oh, okay. That's Eve having sex with Satan.
Oh yeah, now I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah. He thinks that you know how Mormons believe we had pre-existent bodies. He teaches that. He uses all kinds of extra biblical books to prove his doctrines.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the list just goes on. I don't know if I could list it all, but the list goes on. And then he's friends with this other guy, the Manifesta Yada, the Shekinah guy here, and which the word Shekinah you'll never find in the Bible. And this is his website, fallenangels.tv or something like that. Q&A with Zen. You can find out about all his doctrines at his Q&A here.
Yeah, I'm already looking at some of this stuff, and from what you've already told me as well, I'm not impressed.
Yeah.
I really, just my suggestion being just no one listen to the guy.
And then he also, he teaches pre-existence, serpent seed, flat Earth. And I'm not attacking those who are flat Earth. I'm just saying that it's just he teaches that conveniently. I think he teaches you got to keep the Sabbath and stuff. Not to be saved, but I mean he definitely promotes that. It's just kind of weird how he also prefers to use Yeshua over Jesus.
Yeah, one of those people. My goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said before, just don't.
I mean, he uses Jesus too. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, but even still, though, I mean,
Yeah, it's very. You could tell it's a strange doctrine. I mean, this guy's. In fact, Sanderson.
That's my answer. My answer is just simply just don't listen to the guy. As plain as day, don't even give him the light of day.
I want to ask my friend Stephen Anderson in the chat. Stephen Anderson, what
I don't
do you
even
think?
know. Again, I don't know if that's even actual Stephen Anderson. I checked.
Well, I mean, I don't think it. I don't know who it is. I mean, it could be. I mean, how do we know this is not Stephen Anderson?
I checked. I told people twice. You go to this button. It says "Go to Channel," and it shows an empty page. It shows an empty page. It shows an empty page with 0 subscribers and 0 videos.
I don't know how to do
easy to make new accounts. So.
Yeah,
it's
like
not that hard.
No, wait. How could you impersonate him? Because when you get taken down,
because there are many people that do it every day. You just go on YouTube, go, okay, make a new account, and there are people that somehow manage to bypass certain things. Because I've seen people have impersonated.
Let me type it in on the computer. I'll share you my screen and tell you what I got.
Yeah, there's a couple of fake Veckel accounts out there too.
I only got one Stephen Anderson account. It has all his videos. When I type it in on YouTube. I don't see that account.
But there is going to the actual channel stream itself, where the live chat is. You click the button that has the 3 arrows that's right next to what they posted, and you can see it says "Go to Channel." You can go straight to their channel. And when I did that, I'm going to show it too, so that way you can see what I'm seeing.
Oh, okay.
And this was what I saw.
Okay, share me screen.
Right here, there's 0 subscribers, 0 videos. And no other pages.
Yeah, that's interesting. Wow. I mean, I know Brian Denlinger doesn't like Stephen Anderson.
Right, but the point is that I don't know if there's going to be. I don't even know if that's actually Anderson. That's my main point. So until he actually proves himself, I mean, I don't think anyone should actually treat that's actually Stephen Anderson.
Maybe you got to let the guy in first before you just start, talking.
I just said why we're not doing.
You don't want to be a.
Oh no, you got to be
because the people that sometimes do this.
You don't want to
get in. Hang on, Christian, because I don't think you've been in this type of community as much as you think you've had. Is that some of the people that do this, especially on live hangouts, as soon as they get the opportunity to come in and they are trolls or something that just posing as something.
Don't let him in on live, dude. That's stupid. Use common sense. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Let him in a private hangout and see if the guy's Stephen Anderson.
Well, if he will even then decide to still message me and try to ask for that. That's the thing.
Well, we got to find out because
We don't have to find out because he even just said he doesn't have to prove
not
anything.
on here, but I'm saying
I don't think you get what I'm saying. I'm saying he doesn't want to even do it. He said that he doesn't have to prove anything, and that he.
Well, I mean, because he's Steven Anderson, dude. He doesn't have to prove anything, dude. He's Steven Anderson.
Yeah,
and you
Steven
mess
Anderson,
with King
the heretic.
Anderson, dude.
Yes,
I'd be very careful, man, when you're messing with Steven Anderson.
Right, the guy that says that if you read the NIV, you might not be saved.
I
And
wouldn't
that thinks
mess with him,
Jesus
dude.
was that Jesus was a burnt sin offering for hell.
Why? What's Steven Anderson gonna do? Is he gonna send his slugs after you?
Well, or he could just say what he's tried doing for Barack Obama and Caitlyn, Bruce Jenner, and that is to pray that they die and go to hell. Not the first time that would have been done to me, though, was that someone said that they were going to pray for me to go to hell and die.
Oh yeah, he actually believes that gays can't be saved either, and he actually hates them.
Right.
That's not Christ-like.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
That's not the love of Christ.
that's right.
Right.
The thing is, I'll
I have
say
no
this about
problem. No
Pastor
problem.
Anderson.
I have no
He's got a
problem.
lot right, but he's got a lot wrong too. And he's got the right Bible, and he's got some hard preaching on sin. But
Wait. The right Bible. What was that supposed to imply?
he's using the right Bible from the right text, buddy.
Okay, we've discussed this before, so I want you to prove why the King James is the only Bible versus the ESV translation.
We're not going to argue that here.
Why not? You just made a claim. Are you gonna actually support what you're claiming, or are you just going to let it go? Let it just simply be refuted here? Because I can immediately tell you that.
I let all people do their own research, so I'll just say that.
Right. And I've done my research, and the research shows that the King James has removed things, has also disobeyed with what the Texas Receptus has said, just because of own personal feelings. One point, they don't even translate something from the Greek. They translate something from the Latin Vulgate and just leave the Latin there. So there are plenty of things that the King James does that you would that are doing the same things that you're accusing the NIV, the ESV, and all of them of doing. So if we're going to use that standard, hold the same standard to the King James, and I guarantee you it will.
Well, as long as we're not using that Codex Sinaiticus fake document, then that's cool.
How is Codex Sinaiticus
Dude, that
fake
thing
document?
was bleached, dude. Have you even seen what it looks like? That thing was bleached. Or not bleached, the opposite of bleached. They tried to make it look older than it really was.
How do we see that?
Look up David Daniels. He's got a book on the Codex Sinaiticus.
How about you provide a primary source that supports that, not a secondary, later century source, a primary source?
Dude, the guys who were having the Codex Sinaiticus, there were some people who came out and said it was a hoax at the time.
Name the source, primary source.
If I do get it, then I'll show it to you. But right now, I don't have it on me. It's not like something I research daily.
Right. So that's why I'm not going to take it at that point, because I've looked at what the guy who discovered it, von Tischendorf, has written on it, which some people had tried using his writings, but I've looked and examined all that they had said, and even made a video response towards a guy named Richard Raspberry about what Codex Sinaiticus and the history.
I would
of
also
it is.
like to point out another thing. Homosexuality is a sin. Now, I'm not saying that they're
Again, we're diverting from the topic, because we're talking about Codex Sinaiticus. Are you just going to ignore what is being said?
Oh no, because I know you have this belief.
Okay, again, sir, do you again want to just dodge the question?
Let's not talk about Codex Sinaiticus. Let's talk about this.
Why? So why not? Why did you bring it up if you don't want to talk about Codex Sinaiticus?
Well, I mean, I don't have my stuff ready, and if I have my, she's not here. But if I have my my resource ready, then I will debate Codex Sinaiticus with you.
Okay.
But I it's pretty clear that the Bible.
Right. So we'll go. All right. We've already covered too many topics. We're having to get to other people that are already in here wanting to ask questions. We got Beckel, and we got several other people in the live chat. So you got any more questions, you can hold them off until it's your turn again. So Thank you for your question, and we're going to go ahead and head to Veckel right now. Veckel, how are you doing?
Hands are kind of full right now. She just started crying, so I'll pass for right now.
Cry.
Well, that's what happens when we don't have Sister Hipster talking as much. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over to the live chat since, well, I'm going to see if I could still try to get a Pencer in here. But let's see here. Anyone in the live chat that's got a question? So I'm pretty sure I may have been skipping over them from all that's going on. The supposed Anderson said, have you studied the NASB? I have a copy of the New American Standard Bible, actually. So I have been looking at it and observing some of the different textual variants in the translations of the New American Standard versus the other translations. And so far, I see it preaches the same gospel, preaches the same efficient salvific message, and that no essential doctrines are changed or altered from the text. So, Fluffy Porg asks, do you prefer coffee or tea? Tea, non-caffeinated with sugar. Because I don't like caffeine, because that's one of the things that may contribute to my seizures. So,
I like mine strong.
Okay. Is it okay if I show the David Daniels video?
It's not your turn yet. Like I said, we're going in order here to make sure everything's formulated and everyone gets a turn to ask a question. All right. So since I can't see, this is okay now. So we're gonna go back in order from the way it started, since we've already gone through about everybody in the inside chat. So we're starting back off with Joseph. Joseph, do you have a question?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
So like, my question is basically about your understanding of the incarnation. So like, I think you would agree that's a heresy that like, in the incarnation, the divinity took the place of the soul. If you understand what I'm saying, the human soul when Christ became. Do you understand that position?
Wait, explain that again.
It's hard to understand, but like, because Christ is fully man and fully divine, so he has two natures. So like, to say that he does not have a human soul and that his divinity took the place of the soul would be, I think that's heretical, right? I mean, would you agree with that, or like?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think that he had a human soul. I think he had I think he just had a divine soul, but he had a human body.
I'm trying to understand it. It's because this issue is so hard to understand. Like, you can get in heresy over it like really easily, because it's so like the incarnation, like it's so complicated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was just asking like which idea I held to for that specific belief.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Well, there it is. I guess. I mean, I just think it's a divine spirit, not a human spirit.
Okay.
Yeah, a human body, but
I guess I'd have to look into it more. Like, I don't.
Well, I mean, if you can find a systematic theology book, these are things that definitely go into extensive detail on like a university level.
Yeah. Okay, I guess someone else can ask a question now.
All right, so yeah, that leads then like going to the list here. Bob, because he then came in after you. So Bob, how are you doing?
I'm still doing wonderful. Got a little bit more time driving, so I'm home and done for the week. But everything's going great.
All right. So do you got a question?
Would be, yeah, I thought of another one. Somebody mentioned something about people. I think they said the Mormons believe that you had human flesh before you were born. So my question would kind of be, because I know it says that in the Bible, God says he knew you before you were in the womb. So in that point, do you think there was, when he created the world, at the point when he created the world and created man in his own image, that he created all the souls and spirits then? Or do you think he creates every soul and spirit like hours before the conception?
Okay, that I don't know because it's possible he could have made them the spirits and the souls before putting them into the human bodies, or that by the issue of that it's just simply a foreknowledge to the extent of even creating the soul as well as creating the body itself. But we don't get as much knowledge in detail about that. All we know is that God knew them before they were made in the womb. And we don't know exactly how the process of the God creating within even the soul is made. Is it done way before then? Is it done shortly before? We don't get that kind of information. But the main thing that we can get from both of the perspectives that I had mentioned is that God knows, rather it be either way, it's all coming down to a foreknowledge that he knew before these things would come to in existence. So I think that would be mostly what we can get from reading the text of Scripture and making an observation.
So that I guess you could say that when he knew us before we were in the womb, that maybe it was because like you said, he has foreknowledge, so he knew the concept, and because he knew what we would after we were created, but he didn't create the soul until the conception. That's possible to look at it that way, then, right?
Right, that he didn't create the soul until conception is possible. Like I said, there's not much information that for us to go by. But again, it is possible because we don't see exactly all in extensive detail on where the soul making is.
All right, cool.
Right. Okay, so let's see if there's anything in the live chat. Ronald Deal, oh boy, it's our favorite crazy guy. Ronald saying, what are your thoughts on the account of the Holocaust? Do you think it has any ground? I think it does. I think the Holocaust happened. I'm not a Holocaust denier, nor am I buying into any crazy conspiracy hoaxes that have already been debunked at this point. So my thoughts on it, it was a tragedy. It was the primest example of total depravity at its finest. And yeah, so that's my accounts on the Holocaust at that point. So that being said, let's go to see who. Okay, so Christian Reactionary left for a second. So that then takes us to Sister. Sister, how are you doing?
Good.
All right, sis. Do you got a question?
I don't know if it's a taboo topic to ask, but why is it that homosexuality is considered a sin?
Well, there are many reasons why it is considered a sin. First of all, like people have heard before on what particular view I've had on the matter concerning homosexuality. But considering why people think it is, and I can understand why. I mean, for example, let's take a look in what we see in society today. When you look at homosexuality in society today, there are a lot of people that exist that turn it into, because there are people say it's just an orientation, it's just a simply who we love, but it gets to start becoming where, you hear the turn away from the lifestyle of homosexuality, that we actually start seeing it become simply that it's no longer just simply an orientation, it becomes an identity of who you are, that it's more of your identity than rather you're a human being or a male or a female or any of these other things. The pride parades especially start putting it to where and I've probably already going to see some hate comments from the LGBT community for this, because I've already done it no matter how many times I kept saying it, is that they put it on a pedestal above the other, especially above heterosexuality in the straight community, and they just put it out there to the point that it literally does act like an idol. It's as if look at us, and it points it, especially with sex being the main focus. It's not simply just, oh, you're loving someone. It's how sexual can we make this? If you go to some of these things, it's out in the open public. They dress in immodest clothing that is out in the open public. Some are even naked, and sometimes are even getting children involved in these things. Like there's 10-year-old boys that the only thing that they're wearing is short shorts and makeup. And some of them aren't even voluntarily doing this. They're doing it sometimes because the parents or a certain organization that maybe like a school or something is forcing them to participate in this particular group. And sometimes in even the worst cases, sometimes there are cases of pedophilia that go on at these places. There have been pictures that have been taken where during the walking portion, some guy's got a kid and is kissing him right in front of everybody that's cheering the stuff on. And it wouldn't surprise me to see more of it now, since that one movie, I forget what its name was, came out, where it was about a man having an affair with a 17-year-old boy, although the reviewers and critics of the movie said that it's possible that the boy could be of a lesser age than 17. So yeah, like there's a good reason why I can see why people are condemning homosexuality, because when you look at what we see today, it's definitely a lot of problems we see concerning the way that it views humanity, and it pretty much makes everything a sexual icon and sexual idol, that it's basically a thriving sex at that point. But there are people that I know that are gay that do not have that mindset and mentality, and including my lesbian aunt, that even find the pride parades and such to be ridiculous, and something that, like, my aunt at one point saw that they were apparently hosting one in New York or something, and she just chuckles like, "We get it, we're gay. Can you move on to something important? They're already accepting us."
What your aunt needs is deliverance, is what she really needs. That's what she needs. She needs to see deliverance. So, I mean, I know not all...
Define deliverance, because there are different people that have, again, plus
you need
addressing what she's...
You need to pray she gets cleared up of those unnatural lusts.
Okay. So, define to me the unnatural lusts.
Okay, a woman going after a woman, dude, that's retarded, okay? I mean, that's just dumb. You cannot reproduce with two women, okay? Two dudes, bungling each other is not what God intended for humanity. And it's a population control scheme. And I can prove that. I got Planned Parenthood documents that reveal that they were promoting that, if you guys want to see them.
Well, of course, there's many things that you're going to claim. And again, if you weren't even willing to go over the issues about the...
I'll show you them right here. You want me to show you my documents?
Oh, if you can also then prove your case about the King James...
I got that too. I got my David Daniels video, and David Daniels. I'll show it.
We're not watching an entire hour documentary.
No, we're not. It's just part. It's not an entire hour documentary. But first, let me get up my documents.
You don't have to show us a video. You can just, hey, you have a mouth. You can speak. You can communicate.
Well, I can tell you what's in the video. Basically, they have people who came out and said the Sinaiticus was a fake, but that's not what we're talking about. I'm going to show you proof that the sodomite agenda is a population control agenda, and I'm going to share screen.
When you can actually provide information about that.
You see my screen share? You see this document?
Yeah, anyone can hold up a document. You have to actually
This
demonstrate.
is not fake, dude. This is not fake.
I'm not saying it's fake. I'm saying the issue of what this person may say is just simply their opinion. There are many people that can take these documents.
Wow.
Like there are people that claim that Christianity or religious belief is a mental illness, and they're like, "Look, I got scientific papers and documents to support my claim."
Dude, these are government these are manuals, dude. This is how they're destroying.
Yes, and I'm saying the same thing, that there are people that are saying that, oh, look, Christianity is a mental illness. So what do we then do?
Well, that's what they're trying to do, because they're trying to destroy us, dude. And,
So then
you know,
how do we take
share?
hold on. Then how do we take then what you're saying? So if you're saying it's coming from the same group, if one source that comes from them is unreliable, then how do we then take what you're saying?
I'm telling you what they're doing, dude. They're communists.
You gotta stop screen sharing.
Yeah, you're still screen sharing.
How do I stop that?
There's a feature where you can
cool, guys.
just yeah. So
okay,
look,
these
there are
people.
many things, hang on. There are many things that can be put out there, but unless you actually make a case, don't just say, "Look, this guy said this," by just simply saying, "Look, there's a paper that exists." Unless you actually cite the information that's there.
I'm going to cite you the information right now.
Will you let me finish? Unless you actually cite the information and the actual sources of which they're getting this stuff from, and they're making their conclusions, then that would actually be a case in which you're trying to point out this thing. Because there are many people that say the same thing about Christianity, that Christianity is doing nothing but trying to limit the population of the planet with abstinence. So again, just
there's no one saying that, dude. I don't know where you're getting
there are some, unfortunately, some groups of people. Okay, hang.
Because they don't like beef.
Okay, I'm gonna mute you there because there are some people that are actually saying this stuff. There are, because there are some abstinent people that say that the purpose of Christianity is, as it says from Paul's day, to abstain from lust, to be single for the rest of your life, and to never engage in sex. There are some people that want to take the Apostle Paul route and make that an essential, that everyone needs to follow that. And some people will cling to those ideas that those specific people teach and then try to make it, okay, this is what Christianity at its core teaches. So yeah, there are some people who claim that Christianity is supposed to be a population growth.
Well, let me show you where I get my intel, okay? Because I have real documents, okay?
I don't care about where you get the information. I care about what's the information. Actually,
I'm going to tell you what the information. This came from the 1972 Rockefeller Commission.
Don't care who gave it.
Bernard Berelson and Frederick S. Jaffa are openly saying this is what they're going to do to lower the population, my friend. These people are evil people, and you need to have discernment.
Okay, you actually have to, when you actually start citing the information, then because you are saying, okay, here's where it comes from.
Okay, hang on a minute. Christian, hang on a minute. Let's say that paper from 1972 is true, 100% correct. How do you know that it's still going on today?
How do I know that it's still going? They already have the homo marriage, dude. They already have all the abortion clinics. Woe versus Wade. It's all Woe versus Wade or whatever it's called. It's all going on, dude. I mean, it's quite obvious. They were doing it in the third world.
No.
I'm going to get you a book. I'm going to read you from a book.
How about you actually just provide information? Because we've asked for that, and you haven't been doing that, sir.
I'll post it in the link. You want my documents? I'll give you my documents.
I don't care. Again, that's not what we're asking. And again, if you don't cooperate, I'm going to kick you out because we don't have time for this. We have an hour left of the show, and you're wasting time that the other people could be asking questions that are waiting for this to be answered.
I've provided you the information, sir.
I don't want okay. You're asking me, okay, I want you, Christian Anarchist, to take 30 minutes of this live hangout and read. Now, I'm not doing that. You have a mouth. I'm muting you right now because you're not letting me finish. I'm asking you, you have a mouth. You have a mind. You've learned this stuff. Cite it out for us. And if you're not going to do that, then I will. Okay, if you don't do that, I will be booting you.
There's a global agenda done by the Rockefeller Foundation.
Again, cite the information now before I start to lose my patience.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you a list of. This is all direct sources. Okay,
I want you to quote them. Quote the info or cite the info itself, not just simply tell us to go read something. Hebrew Israelites are telling people to do that. Don't act like a Hebrew Israelite, sir.
It's the Illuminati. Don't get confused.
Okay, let me read. Let me read to you this. And yes, the Illuminati is very real, but that's a whole nother story. They say they want to encourage. This is in the document. Encouraged increased homosexuality. Okay, so most of these churches that are these, homo affirming churches. Those are not Bible believing churches. Okay. The 501c3 church is not a real church, my friend.
Okay, so hang on. You're going away from the topic. You mentioned something that they said that they're trying to make a plan to decrease population, and all of a sudden you then talk about somehow the church is then involved with this. We're in the exact same
UN
paper.
World Council of
Will you
Churches.
let me finish before I kick you out? In the same paper, show me where they make that connection.
Okay. Well, okay, so we have the compulsory. I'm going to read to you.
No, answer me. No. Where do they make
it's
the
not
connection?
in the same paper. It's in a different paper, but it is
exactly.
the same
So
agenda.
it's not in the same paper. You're just then trying to make your own stuff up at this point based on what other
not made
papers
up.
are saying. Yes, you are.
I can show you.
Because you're
The
going
World
from other
Council of
sources
Churches
and trying to link them together.
is for population control.
There are people that would believe that homosexuality is a sin, and even then will find you nuts in what you're saying.
What I'm saying is very well documented, and if you don't,
the same thing that people
believe that homosexuality is a sin, then you,
the same
sir,
thing that
are,
people are
you're
claiming
not a Bible
today.
believing
There
Christian.
are people that are claiming that it's also well documented that Christianity is a homosexual penis worshipping cult. Doesn't mean it's true just because people say. You have to actually support it with facts and primary sources.
Well, here's the thing, dude. If you do not teach that homosexuality is a sin, then you are not teaching from the Bible, because the Bible tells us that this is what you once were. Okay, so in other words,
you're
homosexuality
again avoiding the question, and you're taking up time that which other people in the chat could be asking.
Okay, ask your questions away, people.
Okay,
I have no time for homo apologists.
I'm not a homo apologist, sir. So I wish you would stop breaking the commandments and lying, because there are people that I've actually spoken about on the issue, and I've had homosexuals
answer my
block
question.
me.
Okay.
Do you want to get kicked out? Do you want to get kicked out?
No, but I want to ask.
Then let me finish.
All
right. I was in the middle of talking, so let me finish. I've had homosexuals block me and call me trash because of the things I have said about the LGBT community. I just even said it on the live chat. I believe there's only 2 genders, and I'm apparently called a homophobe just because of that. That just because I have believed that there's only 2 genders and not 52 or however many there's out there that people are talking about. I affirm that the issue about the pride parades is an issue of idolatry and a promotion of the sin of lust. And I've been told I'm a bigot, and that apparently, according to one fellow named Pin Valentine, that I am the reason that LGBT pride parades exist is because of people like me that aren't accepting it. So yeah, I'm no homo apologist, and I'm pretty sure that the homos would try to disband, just push the distance away from me. At least some of them do, anyways. But the majority that I've talked to are people that definitely do not like what I have to say on the matter, even if I'm saying that gays can be Christians. Even then, that doesn't matter what you say the message is. There will be people that have the hatred in their heart for God, the hatred for what Christ has done, and they will do anything in their power to just simply make a mockery of Christianity and make a mockery of humankind in general with the things that they're doing on the pride parades. That's my opinion, at least. That's what I'm seeing whenever I'm going out in the society.
I agree with you, and amen to that. But, homosexuality itself is a sin. It's not natural.
Okay. So since technically then it's your turn to ask the question, then go ahead and ask your question since you're the one in line for this particular thing. Ask your question.
Or do you not agree with me that homosexuality is a sin? Would you agree?
Well, okay. When I answer, are you going to let me finish without interrupting?
I will let you finish. Just say what you got to say.
Without interruption. Okay. Sure. So concerning the issue, I don't believe that homosexuality is a sin in and of itself. What I do find sinful that goes on within homosexuality is that when people, again, they do the pride parades in which it is idolatry and promoting lust in a very unethical way, then that would be, in my opinion, the form of unnatural lust, because it's simply not just simply an issue of love and caring. It's just simply a selfish lust, in which it's a simple gratification of one's own lusts. And the same thing that goes on with some of these other things that goes on. You have gay bars, which in a way is almost like segregation if you think about it. From what I've observed, because you have the regular bars, but then with a gay bar for gay people, even though there's some straight people that can go in there, why just then call it a gay bar? What's there got to be that makes it gay? Why not attract other people to it at that point? Even then, gay bar, drunkenness. There's the other form of the lust that goes on there, and the enticing of sin. So all these other things that go on in the world, especially the way that it's promoted in the culture and in the media, that it's lust. Being gay is this sexual, very provocative, promiscuous life. When I've known people that are in real life that are gay, that would, for one, some of them do not even desire sex at all and would never have sex with their partners. Some don't even like what's going on with the LGBT community. And some even are, as far as what I view, is that the transgender thing shouldn't even be involved in that term, since that's not an orientation, that's a gender thing. And again, there is only the issue of
two genders. I agree.
Two genders, and that if you are born a man, you are a man. If you are born a woman, you are a woman, and it's not based upon the issue about the issues, the brain, and whatever that some people are trying to say to justify the issue of transgenderism. There are papers that have been out there, and even the issue about what is known as gender dysphoria. That is what it is. And that there are people that have, and that's literally what it's called. It's a mental disorder, according to what it's classified under in the definition of gender dysphoria, that people are one gender, but they believe that they are another gender. So again, I'd say these are the issues within homosexuality that people are using and promoting what could be an actual agenda, but it's not this grand conspiracy that you're claiming it is. It's just simply a social agenda that's no different than what we see in groups like Black Lives Matter and all these other kinds of groups, that there are people that are actually promoting.
Funded by George Soros.
Okay,
Yeah,
again,
you can go on with the whole
George Soros nonsense, but the point is that is my view of homosexual. I think that if a person is gay, then and that they are in a committed monogamous relationship and they dedicate their entire life and live by the scriptures and accept what the Bible says and believe in the Word of God, then I believe that they can be saved and that they can go to heaven based upon the faith they put in Christ.
I certainly agree with you. I'm not saying they can't get saved.
The issue is, as it says, that to abstain from the ways of this world, to not go out in drunkenness, not go out pursuing these selfish, desiring lusts that exist in what we see in most of the LGBT community today.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And
no, it's not most of the community. That's one thing. I mean, you said a lot of things. So I agree with some of them, but I disagree with a bunch of them. But that's another time.
Like I said, my view is not popular. Like I said, that my view.
No, it's not. It's not. I think you have a misconception. You don't quite understand it fully. So
I've been
maybe,
told
another time we could have a conversation about that if you want.
Okay.
You still might say I might have a misconception or something.
Mind if I tell you my view?
But we have to have the conversation first, because I've never really talked to you about it before. So.
Mind if I read the scriptures to you from right here?
Again, I just answered your question. So when we got 50 minutes before we shut the show off. So that's all the time we got for that conversation. If you want to take this in an off-air hangout, then we can.
Yeah. And I'd like to show you that
you could do that in another time, but we got people that are watching.
No, let people ask questions. I'm not here to take up time or anything like that.
All right, then good. Then let's just do that. So if anyone is watching that's got a question, feel free to do so. We got the Fluffy Porg asking a question again. Question: I like to listen to Christian music and fandom music. What the heck is fandom music? Okay, but I have a friend that says you should listen to only Christian music. Is there anything in the Bible that says anything about that? There's not really anything that just that says focus on a Jewish or a Christian only music. The issue is simply about what does the content of music contain. So this is what we have as Veckel is here. He would say the catchphrase, this is a Romans 14 issue, that there are things that are existing that, all things are lawful unto Christians, but not all things are beneficial. So, for example, you as a Christian can listen to all kinds of genres of music and all different kinds of people who, follow as different, genre, whatever, and category of music. But the issue is, what's the music contain? Like, I'm sure there are some songs like Michael Jackson, like Man in the Mirror. Good song. It's about looking at yourself and making a change in your life. And I think that's a very good song right there. And that's a very good thing that Christians can agree with. But then there are probably some things that, might be a little risky for some Christians that may be from him that have a little more from, sexual things in mind. Now, it depends there once we cross that level. Okay, how does then one formulate that as one? Because, for example, let's put a scenario. Two Christians. One is a single guy that is never had, let's just say it as it is. He's a virgin. And him being that and listening to the music, he may, get some ideas that may, cause lust and committing adultery in the heart. But then you have the other guy that is a married man, and the reason why he likes the song is because maybe it was a song that came on whenever him and his wife met, and so there's a connection there, and plus they're able to enjoy sex with that. So there's nothing wrong with the message there, since he knows it can then go towards just simply taking it to the bedroom with his partner. But for the other guy, though, could be a problem if starts causing issues that he might not be able to control. But then in another scenario with that same guy, maybe he could control it. So it depends on the individual and what they are going through. And if they feel like it's a stumbling block, then they should not participate in it. And it's a matter of conscience and how it affects your walk in Christ. So depending on, I think there are some people that can do good just listening to Christian music. But you're not limited by that. The Bible says that all things are lawful unto Christians, but at the same time, remember that it says that not all things are beneficial. That not all things will be of a good benefit. There's some things that may make you stumble, may make you cause them to fall into temptation of sin. Now, remember, while you can still ask for forgiveness, we should not try to purposefully walk into the darkness. We should try to steer as much as we can in the path of light, because, hey, you don't want to be scared of the dark now, do you? So yeah.
Because what's that other verse? It's not what goes in, but what goes out.
Yes,
like
that's
that.
that's another thing in the issue, and that's actually reiterated in that same verse. That's what I was mentioning about Romans 14, because the issue was about people that were meat eaters. They were following the faith, but then you had people who were also just following the dietary laws of the Old Testament, and there was a specific cult at that time called Judaizers, in which they were basically saying that you need to eat follow the dietary laws. You don't need to eat meat. And then, of course, there's some people who aren't Judaizers, but they feel like they're sinning against God if they eat meat. So they just want to, for their own conscience, devote themselves to the dietary laws, but not for salvation, just because it's something they want to do. And when someone goes over to eat and they see the person's eating meat, but it's something they can't eat, that may be a stumbling block. So sometimes the person can be, as Paul tries to illustrate, is like, you know what, for your sake, my friend, for your sake, I'm not gonna eat this in front of you because I know how you feel about it. Let's go eat some vegetables together, So it's that kind of thing as well, is that if then somebody that doesn't like, for example, let's say you listen to Michael Jackson or any of these other types of things that you're comfortable with, but your friend isn't. Don't listen to it around them for their sake, because that's the issue, again, we see in the message of Romans 14. So ultimately, the answer is concerning what the Bible says, concerning listening to Christian music and fandom music, as long as it is not compromising with what the Bible's message is. Like there's a song called "Praying to a God I Don't Believe in" and "Take Me to Church." Those are two songs that I'll admit they have a nice beat, but the lyrics, yeah, that's not wanting. I'm not going to be interested in listening to that. And if someone's listening to that around me that is a Christian or claims to be one, I would expect you to at least have some courtesy to, not. I mean, it's up to you with how you do that, but for the sake of courtesy, have respect and courtesy for your fellow brothers and sisters that may stumble in what certain songs are being played. So it's mainly a Romans 14 issue, as we call it. So yeah, thank you for your question there, Fluffy Pork. That's actually my favorites to discuss something whenever it goes back to the Romans 14 and 1 Corinthians 8 and 10 issues. Okay,
yeah, and I would add to that too. If they're young, and Christian, they're new to Christianity and they're just starting to, read and become a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say stay away from the other stuff and just play the Christian music. So they're not getting confused, right? You want them to keep one message in mind and not be confused between two different ones.
Right. Well, that's why I said. I mean, I think it's fine to start them off small with the music. I mean, because kids, when we were kids growing up, we were just into like Old MacDonald had a farm, but with Christian music, it sounded like it was kids' music, but the lyrics were definitely a lot deeper, but they were still catchy. But then by the time I guess you get to like middle school, it's like that upgrade. So like, what's this? There's beatboxing. There's hip hop music. Oh my goodness, what have we been missing? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
No. But yeah,
there's reformed rap.
Yeah, there's reformed rap. Definitely the best rap of all. You have Shai Lin, Hazakim, and all of them wonderful people.
I used to listen to Reliant K.
Oh yeah, man, those guys are old at this point. I mean, that was like 90s.
Yeah, Reliant K, Petra, Striper. Yeah, Reliant K, Petra, Striper. Yeah.
Yeah, you should see the metal scene now in Christianity. I've been to the what we call the underground shows of that War of Ages, They Will Fall, all these wonderful bands. Like there's a reason why they're like underground and not mainstream.
Yeah, I listen to metal, so I listen to a lot of those too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you a link at some point concerning some of the underground stuff because that's hardcore right there.
Cool, thanks.
I was listening to something on YouTube one time. I think it was a couple of days ago, and it was about how the Christian music industry isn't really as good or progressive. Usually, when there's a secular song that comes out, there's an alternative Christian version of it. One of them pointed out was Taylor Swift's song "Shake It Off," and then which band was it?
Oh, I can't stand that song. It's annoying.
You gotta shake, shake, shake.
Oh man!
You're talking about "Shake It Off."
And they made a. Oh, I'm getting feedback from somebody. Okay. It's not like as edgy or really great like it was in the early 90s, like when DC Talk came on the scene, and or Jars of Clay or whatever, Rich Mullins. I mean, you got some every once in a while that comes out and they're pretty good, but it's just the business. They're like any other industry, like the secular industry. They just want to make money.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely some that will do that and they're in it for money. Oh, and apparently I just saw that because I prefer tea over tea to coffee. Someone sent me something. I don't know what this show is, but it's a guy wearing a paper hat shouting blasphemy. So apparently I am committing blasphemy because I love tea over coffee.
I do too. And
well, that makes two of us. Burn us, heathens. Burn us.
I like my tea strong. I don't want sugar in my tea.
I shall stone both of you.
So Fluffy Porg says the song you may have been thinking about is Mercy Me song Shake.
Yes, that one.
Yeah, it's a good. She said it's a good song. I'll have to look at that. Man, everything about Mercy Me. It's that movie that's coming out, and now this Shake song. Oh, well, then let's see here. Free will is biblical, says Ronald Deal. Depends on what you define free will. If you mean by choice, yes, that is biblical. If you think we can make decisions regardless of our sinful nature or the environment that's around us, then that is something up for debate. Based Guyver, last question in the live chat before we go in here. Based Guyver asks, Romans 7, verse 13 through 25, is Paul talking about a pre or a post conversion experience? Oh, this is actually quite interesting, because there's actually something that is in the and I don't know why it's in there, the Tough Topics books that I have from Sam Storm, that if I'm remembering correctly, let's see here, what is he saying? It's 13 through 25. As far as I'm concerned, I think that it's a post-conversion experience, because he's writing to Christians, and because I preached from, when I was street preaching, I preached from Romans 5 through 8, the 4 whole chapters, and when I got to 7, I'm keeping the message consistent with what the context is, and he's talking about how they should understand their new walk in Christ and what should be observed. And one of the things is, as he says in verse 7, before he starts getting into verse 13, what shall we say then? Is the law sin? God forbid. So he's saying, okay, so you're Christians, but you also know that you are not under the law, in accordance to what we read about, that it's like marriage, that you are under a new husband. You're no longer married to the law. You are married to Christ, and you're under his covenant. And so with that in mind, then he's talking to what the context is. They're under the new covenant and in this new relationship. But that doesn't mean that the law is a bad thing. There's still a relevance for the law. And then he talks about basically knowing what sin is by the law, and that it's not him that does good, because he mentions that the flesh does evil, but it's the mind and the spirit in him that desires God and desires the light. So it's the issue of a struggle that goes on. And again, this is something that goes on with Christians, including myself, that we desire with many sins that go on, that are temptations. Like, especially for me, if I see that there's I live here in the Bible Belt South, so if I see a guy that cuts me off on the road, so there's been temptations where I wanted to be like, you mother, you finished the sentence. And sometimes it's happened. Sometimes it has just been a close call. Either way, I ask the Lord to forgive me at that point, because as John chapter 1, verse 9 says, then, we sin, and then also we have an advocate with the Father, then we can ask God for forgiveness, and he is faithful and just to forgive us of our sins. So, I think it's talking about a post-conversion experience in what we see in Romans chapter 7, verses 13 through 25. So hopefully that helps out your question there, Based Guyver. So, let's see. Okay, this is interesting. So Ronald Deal says, and the Spirit and the bride come and say, come, and let him that is athirst, and whosoever will, let him take the water of life freely. Okay, so the problem here is you have two words highlighted, whosoever will and freely, as if you think both of these make a case. So let's go again to the scriptures to support the case. I wish I should have done this when I mentioned Romans 7, but I'm going to do it for this particular one. So this is something that a lot of people don't get right, is what does it mean here when it talks about freely? So let's go here to Revelation chapter 22, verse 17. And the Spirit of the bride says, come, and let him that heareth say, come, let him that is athirst come, and whosoever will, or in other words, whoever will, as it says here in the ESV, let the one who desires, let the one who wants to, as the Holman Christian Standard Bible, whoever desires, so whosoever will, whoever desires to come to Christ, let him take the water of life freely. Now, the problem here is this word freely does not refer to the issue of the will. No, not at all. The context that's implied is in reference to a price. And in fact, the word that is used here is dorean, meaning that it means as a free gift, freely, for nothing, without charge. Now, there are terms where it can be used in application to without cause, but the concept here is in reference to simply being without cost. So if you go in here in the Holy Christian Standard Bible, it says the living water as a gift. ESV, the water of life without price. So the issue here is quite clear that what we're seeing is that it's talking about water of life freely, free of charge, no cost, no works, no good deeds, which fits the theology of what we read about in Ephesians chapter 2, verses 8 through 9, in which the Apostle Paul says, "For by grace are ye saved through faith, not of yourselves, it is the gift of God." Gift is not something you earn or work for. It is simply free, and it is a gift, not of works. If it was, then it wouldn't be a gift, and it wouldn't be free, lest any man should boast. So that is what the context is that we're seeing, is the issue of a gift and the issue there. So you can even look up in your Thayer's Greek lexicon or any lexicon that you can have and see that the context will itself imply that this is in reference to cost, not free will decision-making philosophy, but rather referring to the cost of salvation. And the cost of salvation, my friends, costs absolutely nothing when it comes to God's grace and mercy. I see Joseph said he's got to leave soon, but he's got one thing he wants to say before he goes. Joseph, what do you want to say?
So this is just a follow-up to what I said before. So like I looked up the teaching I was thinking about, and it's something that was taught by Apollinarius of Laodicea, and it's now condemned by all mainstream Christianity, that the human soul took to deny the existence of a rational soul in Christ, and that the human nature was replaced by the Logos. So that's the last thing I wanted to say. So thanks for having me on too. So yeah,
no problem, man. Thanks for coming on.
So I'm gonna log off.
All right.
Bye.
My teeth are hurting. I don't know what's going on there with my teeth. Okay, so there's that. Let's go over to wait. Did I ask you for a question already, sister? Before I started going into the live chat.
Let's see.
Because I remember the last thing you mentioned was about a music. Was that?
No. Let's see. I was thinking about something and I totally forgot about it.
Wait.
Do you have any requests for me drawing with markers for a new paper that I just got? Like any type of character, noun, or anything like that?
Wait, like something that I'd want you to draw or something?
Yeah, requests. Like a request. I got somebody who gave me a good idea, Lilo and Stitch, and somebody wanting me to
much like my question, along with the Revelation 22:17 thing, in the terms of the water of life, is like the water of life. Is this free?
This is free.
Okay, just making sure, because I get swindled or something, and I have to pay you $10.
I'm not that kind of person.
I know you're not that kind of person. That is a good question. While I think about it, I'm curious as to how you might make this. Think you can try a Charles Spurgeon rendition?
A picture of Charles Spurgeon?
Yeah, you can even do like what some people say, that he was holding a cigar. Like that still is something I can imagine it, but it's also like imagining every hipster today.
Charles Spurgeon holding a cigar with hipster glasses on.
Oh my goodness. The Reformed Anonymous community on Twitter will lose it as soon as they see that, and we'll start retweeting that till there's nothing left.
I'll keep that in mind. I'll put that in my third category, because I'm gonna do Lilo and Stitch, then a fox, then a Charles Spurgeon with a cigar with a hipster glasses. Unless somebody else brings something to the table and it sounds like an interesting idea.
I think Spurgeon was key.
All right. Well, thanks for the question there. Then I guess I can't wait to see that. So next, then we got Christian Reactionary. Christian, what's your question? By the way, to remind everybody, if y'all need to, you got great.
Yeah, let me get my order.
I forgot that I have to answer another guy on Twitter at some point. That we got 30 minutes left before the show goes off. So if y'all got questions, make sure if you.
Oh, I forgot my question.
As well.
I forgot my question, bro.
All right. In that case, let's go over to Twitter. We have the Silver Reploid CLE. He asks, "What anime are you interested in featuring David Vincent's awesomely sublime voice acting?" Okay. What was he in that was good besides Bleach? I think out of anything that's got that would be Bleach, and even then, that's not as much interested anymore because it's like Naruto. It's like, okay, how many episodes are you going to keep doing? When are you going to stop? Please just let the show end at this point and let there just be short amounts of show. Just do something like Brotherhood. Just like make a short version or something of Full Metal Alchemist and make it like with Bleach. Just like 50 episodes. I'll be fine. I'll watch those and then say, hey, I've watched Bleach. I'm not watching 200 to 300 episodes.
The art style's beautiful and the animation's gorgeous, but
I agree, but I don't have the time to watch all those episodes.
It was hard to keep up for me. Well, I only watched the first season and I was just bored. I just watched it because of my crush liked Bleach. But they get into so much detail about the attack, and they're just overstating how the attack works and what's going on. I'm like, just stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So there's that. Oh yeah, Berserk Blitz. I kept forgetting to answer this. Let me see if he's even. Okay, yeah, he still is. Oh wow, Bleach ended already. Well, about time. Anyways, Berserk Blitz asks, what exactly would you consider a conspiracy theory? And hypothetically, if I told you I knew someone that was in one and I gave some proof, would you believe me? I think a conspiracy theory could just simply be, it's just simply a theory that there's people that conspire in something, meaning they gather it to organize something. But the issue is that it's mostly in the realm. It's not in the same way of a scientific term of theory, but or a historical form of theory, but rather just simply the general term of theory in general, in practice and principle. And that is that it's a hypothesis that's about, that someone's making a conspiracy. For example, there's the conspiracy theory that the apostles, after Jesus died, came together to formulate and create the New Testament and the Gospels, and to formulate the teachings of what we know today as Christianity. This is a conspiracy theory that has been debunked and proven false by facts and actual information about how to actually pull off a conspiracy in the first place. And one of the main things that I think there are different principles that gets rid of conspiracy theories in general, that's the majority of them anyways, is two things. One, how many people are involved? A guy by the name of J. Warner Wallace, who wrote his book Cold Case Christianity, dives into the claim of conspiracy theory concerning people saying that Christianity was nothing more than a conspiracy. That conspiracies fail if they have multiple people involved. So, for example, if there were 12 disciples, that would be really difficult to make it a successful conspiracy, and would easily lose within the first 2 or 3 centuries of early Christianity. And especially if what we see in some people today, like saying, a whole bunch of government, that's definitely more than 12 people, is supposedly in on it, then the conspiracy would be seen by everybody in the world, according to what we see in what we have heard from what Warner Wallace has mentioned, because he used to work as a police detective and dealt with people who were forming conspiracies like robbing banks or pulling off heists or pulling off some sort of identity theft or fraud, any of these kinds of things. These are technically under the category of conspiracy, and they can pull it off if either they are a solo person or have like 2 or 3 people involved. But even then, the more people you add, the more it's a risk. The second problem that can go on with a conspiracy is the one thing that I saw as a video that is called the one thing that destroys the most conspiracy theories is does the people that are supposedly the conspirators or whatnot, does this affect the rich people or the very high influential people? So, for example, if there is a cure for cancer, but the government is just restricting it so that the rich or that they rich don't, they're the only ones that get the cure, then, that's the conspiracy. But the problem is with that is that is a thing that can make tons of money, and it's in fact the rich that are eventually going to be at a loss there. So that theory gets debunked because it shows that actually would harm the rich people in what supposedly the goal is supposed to be. And then you have for example, someone that, like, this is the popular one, that guns, the conspiracy theory is that the issue about school shootings, that there are false flags that are done so that the liberals can take the guns. But the statistics actually show that gun sales go up immensely every single time a school shooting happens. So there are people that say, oh, it's because they're taking away the guns. Well, so far, if that's the case, then it's hurting the liberals who are supposedly in on conspiracy, since it's the gun owners that make a bunch of money, and people are still to this day having the right to bear arms and are wielding guns. So there has been no agenda to get rid of the guns that's been successful or successful conspiracy. And anything, people can then try to say the same thing, that's actually a conspiracy, that the gun owners are the ones that are organizing these shootings so that they can then make more money from gun sales, because they can then spread the rumors about the liberals want to take the guns. But even then, if that is the case, then why is it that there's still things like bump stocks getting banned from stores and all these other things that will then affect the market of guns? So both ways will not be beneficial, and debunks both conspiracies on that issue. So, yeah, I don't think that
You mind if I say something here?
Sure.
Okay, see, what I talk about here is not conspiracy theory. I talk about conspiracy fact, okay? What I'm talking about is stuff that the global elites legally get away with. It's not a theory. They have all the money and power. They can do whatever they want. They can force population control. They can get us into illegal wars. They can. I think they're trying to take away the guns, but I think because we have the Constitution, they're bound by the law. So it's not like it's just a bunch of network of people. It's people with a specific agenda, and it's an open political agenda. And we are seeing the effects of that with the promotion of homosexuality.
Right, but the issue is that if you're going to say something about the guns, okay, again, you mentioned the guns, which I've already talked about from both perspectives. That when you talk about
the chemtrails,
right, the issue about the chemtrails, the issue then about the guns is that, okay, this is why it's a theory, and why it's not a fact, because you're mentioning.
I never said that I agreed with the false flag shootings theory. Exactly.
Okay, then why bring it up?
They are trying to push gun control.
You said you bring up conspiracy facts. Why bring this up if this is supposedly a conspiracy
I'm
fact?
not saying that they're using MK Ultra shooters, although they do have that technology. I'm just saying that they want to push gun control. But
but my question is, do you believe that there is a conspiracy to?
Well, you could argue whether it's a conspiracy or not. I actually just think it's open political agenda. There's a globalist
right. Then
agenda.
So it's not a conspiracy theory. It's just
run by
simply
rich men like George Soros and David
Rockefeller. Again, it's not a conspiracy fact or theory. It's just some people are butthurt about the issues of, guns to the point that they just want to not just make it safer, but some people want to just simply ban the usage of certain guns.
Well, because they want to disarm us when they take power. That's really
is that a fact?
Yeah, I mean Hitler.
Okay, so you then take back your statement because you now are saying that it is a conspiracy fact. So go ahead and then provide then the fact and the evidence that what's going to happen is that they're going to disarm, because most of the people that I see, especially from the liberals, because as much as there are people that like to over exaggerate and say that they are going to take away every single gun. If that's not the case, they just want to make it difficult in the process. Like my dad went to get a gun for my stepmom, and they went to do a background check. They had to make sure that she was of a certain age, and that they even had to walk out the door with her with the gun in a bag before she left the store. That way, then start using it to shoot off on people.
I have a friend. Okay. He's a brother in Christ, and he lives in the left coast. Okay, and they are doing confiscations, literal confiscations, and violating people's Second Amendment rights. In some cities like Chicago, they've already violated the Second Amendment rights of American citizens.
Mm-hmm. So,
and every tyrant throughout history has pushed gun control to disarm the population.
Right, but there's a difference between gun control in the sense of no guns whatsoever, and then gun control in doing background checks.
Well, I mean, I'm saying that they might. I wouldn't be surprised if they do confiscations, and also false flags.
They will not do confiscations at all, because it goes against what the Constitution states.
Dude,
and the Constitution is going to stay around for a while.
This is how politics works. If there's the right emergency, if they find the right situation, whether it's a false flag terror attack or a real terror attack, they could use that, or a Katrina type event. They could use that as an excuse to declare martial law and take away our guns.
See, because that's the problem. They've taken the guns. They've taken the guns from Canada, the UK, and Australia, right? As soon as they take the guns away from the US, the global elite's going to take over the world. We're the last defense.
All right.
Oh, not to me. I'm fuzzy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, anyways, the point being that still the issue about whatever this issue on gun control is just meh. All right. So let's see here.
Holy cow.
Okay, we got some Penn Valentine saying that it's not bound by the Constitution, it's bound by the amendments. The amendments prove that the Constitution can change, because that's what the amendments were, changing the constitutions. Okay.
Yeah, and it all depends on how you read the Second Amendment too. I mean, because it says militia, so
right. That's the thing, is that the purpose is. And that's the only reason why I would say to mostly have a gun. There's, can go hunting and all that kind of stuff. But I think the main reason why you would even need to have, like, say, an AR-15 or any of these other guns would be in a case of a self-defense or a militia thing. So, and because not many people would think that a assault rifle is a convenient choice of weapon for a lot of things. From what I've looked at, there was some statistic that was either of 2017 or if it was of 2018. This was actually something I found from a furry friend of mine, or at least a guy that I followed on Twitter named Dojo Dingo. And he's this is why he's definitely a very controversial figure, because he's a furry that's even got his persona registered in the NRA. And I forget what the thing's name is, but one of his favorite furries is the dang, or like anthropomorphic creature or something, is that dang eagle from the mascot from the NRA, something eagle, whatever the dang thing is called. And he mentioned something that someone was like trying to critique him, saying, guns are definitely the problem in society, but mentioned that more people die from drowning, and more people die from drowning than they do from death by assault rifles. Then someone tried to point out issues of just simply gun deaths. That there is a lot more people die from gun deaths in general. But the issue is, again, the issue of what is they putting in the statistics. And the statistics show, hold on. Who? Someone's got a Penn Valentine blocked.
I don't even know who that is. I probably don't have him blocked.
Yeah, sister, do you have him blocked by any chance?
Yep.
Why is that?
Why you think?
Is it because he keeps on mentioning the whole thing about we being a couple or something?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. Guess well then. Guess she definitely got tired of that.
If he didn't learn to yeah, she asked him to stop and he wouldn't stop. I don't see a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, she didn't. She definitely was uncomfortable with that, and I joked around with it, but like I said, and even then, I'm not I'm not touching that. So yeah, I mean, but yeah, I was just saying. Then Dojo mentioned the whole thing about the statistics, and
Yeah. I mean,
and the main thing that they consider with the statistic is the reason why it shows then the high rate in gun deaths is that, as Dojo pointed out, that a lot of people die, yes, from guns, but the majority is, like, for example, handguns, of which the main cause with the deaths of that is by gang shootouts, self-defense, or rough encounters with the police. These are the main things that we see within the statistics, and handguns are the main problem with that. But not many people are focusing on banning handguns because we recognize that it's a convenient thing to do, and it's not as serious as what you can pull off, like mass murdering people with a bump stock rifle that you can then make it to a machine gun at that point. But yeah, I think the main thing to realize and focus on is, great. I've been rambling for too long. I forgot what I was saying. Great. You ever had those moments? They suck.
It started out with conspiracy.
Oh yeah, that was the whole thing, and then of course he left. So I guess that's partly what led me off there. So I guess there's not really much point for me to go on.
Yeah,
speaking of which,
guns is a whole 8-hour show right there. So,
yeah. Speaking of which, I'm just gonna go ahead and promote him at this point, because why not? We're like 10 minutes left. This is the guy I was talking about that looked at the statistics. This is Dojo Dingo, and right now he's over at Fernal Equinox, doing his own thing. But let me see if I can find that picture of him registering his persona into the NRA. Yeah, right there. Dojo Dingo, and even had a NRA cap. So, good old Dojo. All right. All right. So let's see here. Okay. Sister, I don't know. This could be your choice or not. To unblock him because he's messaging me saying that he said had he realized that the joke was bothering you that much, he would have stopped. He just wished that you would have spoken to him about it in more detail to just simply stop, and he definitely would have respected your wishes.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't trust him. I'll leave.
no, he trust me. I trust the guy. If he knows something's bothering somebody, he won't do it. I've known the guy for years.
I'll leave though.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. Well, have a good night, sis. All right. So we got 10 minutes. Let's see if there's anyone in the live chat. Are we at the talking or take questions in the live chat part yet? Yeah, we've been at that. We've just been going on a conversation. What was supposed to be something with Christian reaction here before I left. And then
I was just saying that we have the right to keep and bear arms, and don't give up that right, people.
No one's trying to take away.
I know. I'm just saying that you shouldn't give up that right.
Right, but you were saying that there's a group of people that are trying to do that, to take away that right to bear arms.
Well, there's people who want to be tyrants out there, man, and
yeah, but that's the thing, is your assumption. You start with a presupposition that is your worldview, that these people that are in government right now are going to do that simply because they are the higher power, and that because, say, a shooting happens, whether you believe it's real or if it's a false flag, that as soon as it happens, that must mean that when it says gun control, it's actually, let's just take the guns.
Not all the time, but gun control still, as far as I'm concerned, is not constitutional.
I believe it is, because if you read what the issue about gun control is, it's not take away guns, but rather it's simply, okay, there are certain guns that are out there that if you are really going to consider using it, one, you have to make sure your mental state is in check.
Well, I didn't really agree with
hang on. Number two, you have to make sure you have the right, what's the term? ID, license to use this, because there are different license for it, because you have to learn how to use the gun, not just simply be an average Joe. You have to make sure you learn how to use the gun, and learn what are the safeties, because all guns work in a different way. We see this definitely with pistol, shotgun, rifle. They have different firing methods and different functions of working, and making sure that you can use that, making sure that you can use it as well. So that way you're not just going to be an idiot that either shoots yourself or shoots someone else that's innocent. Making sure you know how to properly use a gun.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Right, so that's gun control. That's not unconstitutional. That's called being safe.
But saying you got to have a license and all that, that's dumb.
Again, no, because you get the license after learning, and that's
the whole problem.
Gun registration.
The whole problem with this gun control thing and the unconstitutional of it is, dude, they didn't know about cars. They didn't know about what type of guns were going to be. So they can't So they can't write everything in there to what the regulations should have been for gun control, right? So to say it's unconstitutional is just ridiculous.
Well, I say he who hath no sword, let him buy one. Let him sell his garment and buy one. So that's what I said right there.
Look, Christian, I have a question for the other Christian, not anarchist.
Okay, cool.
I want to know why you think that people want to take away guns.
Well, here's the thing. Hitler took the guns. Stalin took the guns. Mao took the guns. Lenin took the guns. All the different dictators.
Hold on, I'm not. He didn't ask. He didn't ask who took guns.
I want to know
why.
Why are after guns? Why do you think people want to take away guns?
Why would any tyrant not want to take the guns?
Okay, you're using
total control.
Just answer the question. Why? Answer why.
That's not an answer. You're telling me you think, therefore it is. That's not good enough. Why do you think people want to take away guns?
To disarm the public? I mean, it's not that hard to figure out.
No, you're giving me, I think, therefore it is thing again. I want to know specific reasons why you believe people want to take away your guns.
I don't have to answer you.
Okay, then nobody can believe you for what you're saying because you're wrong. If you can't give examples, then you're wrong. That's all there is to it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, if you think that, then you're free
it's a fact. That's what you. It's not the first time you've done that in this hangout. Not just with him. You've done this with. You talked about the King James thing, but you're like, no, I don't want to talk about it because I don't have the facts
And
No, it's not because I don't have the facts.
when they
it's just,
say
just...
no, you don't have the facts. When they say they don't have to answer the question, that means one of two. That means one of four things. Either that means they don't have the information, so they're lying about it. They do have the information, but they know it's fallacious. Or I guess just three. Or they do have the information, but they don't want it inspected because they think they might be found out as wrong. So which is it, Christian?
Well, I just don't want to answer you because I don't care.
So you're wrong.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. No, you don't care, but you care enough to come on here and tout off on and on
Well,
about.
I'm giving you historical background. I believe in history.
I didn't ask.
Okay?
I didn't ask about historical background. I asked.
If you don't learn from your history, you're doomed to repeat it. So
hold on. Let me point something. Hold on, Pin. Let me point something out that let me show some the Christian reactionary can be inconsistent here. Then, because by that standard, okay. Let's go to the past. There have been people that have taken guns, supposedly, like as you keep pointing out, these dictators. Okay, then. There have been people that have made, if you believe in the past, that some of the gods in the past, like before Christianity comes out, or the religions, that supposedly they share these certain similarities, or that it's a fact that some people conspired to make up new religions back then. People have used that to say, well, history shows that they conspired to make something. Therefore, Christianity is no different because, again, history repeats itself. That's the argument you're using.
Exactly.
Is that history repeats itself. And if you were to apply that consistently, then you would no longer be a Christian. You would forsake Christianity because it falls under the same category that you're applying in your skepticism.
Well, hang on. We got examples. We got examples today in history. Look at Australia and the UK and Canada. They took their guns and look where they are now.
No shootings. Look at Japan. They didn't take away guns outright. They made it harder to get. And
they have stabbings, okay? And they have, dude, Australia is a very violent state, especially if you have a area that's not entirely homogenous, if you get what I mean.
Right, but so go into the stabbings then. Because now this turned into instead of a religious thing, this turned into a political thing.
Yeah,
you say stabbings, then how many people died in the stabbings versus the mass shootings that occurred? I think that's the main thing that they're trying to get a point to you across.
That is the main thing.
There are more attacks done with knives. Let me get my statistic up.
There are more attacks with knives.
Now he wants to get information when it's about other countries, but I don't even want to go into other countries. I want to go into
America.
I want America. Why do you think people want to take away your guns?
Well, have you looked at the George Soros funded protesters and the stuff that they're saying?
Who?
You mentioned some guy named George Soros repeatedly for everything. Like George Soros, must be some sort of demon or god because he's behind everything, I guess.
I don't know who this George Soros is. Who is he?
Well, the fact that you don't know who he is just proves my point. I mean,
hold on. The fact that your response to that was the fact that your immediate response to that was the fact that you don't know who that is means you're stupid, means that you're full of shit because you don't know what you're talking about. If I honestly don't know who he is, you should inform me.
Okay, well, he's a
you're serious about this cause, you should inform me.
One of the richest men on earth, globalist leftist, okay? He's part of the Bilderberg group. He's part of this Fortune 500 of billionaires. And he funds almost every leftist group you see, from the Black Lives Matter to the feminists to the homosexuals, okay? All funded by this dude. And, you know, some of them have other...
Do you have sources for this?
Yeah, I can show you sources.
Show me sources.
Okay, cool.
And what do you mean by he's funding them? He's giving them money?
Yeah, he's giving them a lot of money. Let me show you that.
Okay, and what do you mean by he's funding people like homosexuals? What specific groups?
He funded Pussy Riot in Russia. Pardon me.
What is Pussy Riot?
There's a Russian homosexual rights movement.
Well, I don't think they're a homosexual rights movement. I think they're just
feminist or something, right?
They were a couple girls in a band.
It's not a couple of girls. It's pretty much anyone that can wear a ski mask can join the band, but it's led by two groups. It's basically an anarchistic punk rock group that does a lot of riots and things. They got into the media.
It started out with two girls in a band.
Yeah, and then but as I looked on their website, they said they basically allow anyone who knows three chords and all that can just join.
What it was is they tried, you know, showing their homosexuality in public. And the government started cracking down on them, so their fans said, "Hey, let's stand up and protest." And they started doing a bunch of shit.
Okay, Christian, hold on. Now I've opened your discoverthenetworks.org file. I haven't looked at it yet, but I have a major problem with it already. And before I go into it, I want to see if you have another source so that we can compare.
Okay.
Because there's a major problem with this source already.
What's the problem, son?
A guide to the political left. That means it is not center. It is not objective.
Well, I can show you objective sources too. I can go to George Soros' own site and look at the list of groups he found.
Okay, then give them to me.
Okay, let me get them. Here.
All right, well, I'll continue this conversation. We have reached the time limit for the show. It is 10:01, so that is all the time we have for Ask Christian Anarchist. So hope y'all enjoyed the show. So until then, this has been the Christian Anarchist. Hope to see y'all next week. And shalom aleichem, peace be upon you, because I wish that upon you. Have a good day.